Alrighty, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. I'm Dr. Mike Axler, PhD in Applied Human Physiology, Professor of Exercise Science, 60 plus time marathoner and ultramarathoner, and performance coach. Today, we are going to be talking about if you need to eat during long runs. And this is for all the runners out there, whatever your long run might be. It might be starting at around 5, 6, 7 miles. It might be going up towards 100 miles in a race or something like that. A lot of the issues that people seem to have during long runs isn't the fact that they're doing nice, slow zone 1, zone 2 cardio. It's the fact that they're either not staying hydrated, they're not keeping the electrolytes in, they don't have enough fuel, so therefore their gait breaks down, they bonk. So a ton of different issues going on during long runs, and today we're going to see if we can help fix those. So for the common problem on why runners specifically bonk during long runs, we know that mid-run fatigue hits hard around 60 to 90 minutes, so around an hour to an hour and a half. And this is really going to be dependent upon how much glycogen or stored carbohydrates you already have in your liver and skeletal muscles before going into the run. If you know that you had a nice big dinner the night before and breakfast the morning of, you're probably going to be okay around 60 to 90 minutes in. But if you didn't have dinner, if you didn't have breakfast, you're going to bonk much more quickly. Further, another common problem is that pace slows down and form breaks down. So therefore, running economy goes down, right? Running economy tanks. You can see people like hunching over. And when you start to hunch over, your lungs get compressed, your gait breaks down, and you're just huffing and puffing on more air. Further on this, energy starts to crash despite staying hydrated sometimes. Sometimes people are really, really great at staying hydrated, but they don't have quite literally the energy or the calories. So therefore, they have tons of issues with regard for just finishing out the run. And this is going to be very common in marathon and ultramarathon prep. So what people typically do in order to curb some of the issues they might have with respect to long runs is they don't eat anything until it's too late. I've trained a lot of folks. I've run with a lot of folks. I've been in the running community for years now, thankfully. And I'll ask people why they don't fuel up during long runs. And they'll say something along the lines of, well, when I eat, I have GI issues. Either I get cramps or I feel nauseous. So they just don't eat anything at all. So they skip fueling. Further, sometimes people just rely on water and electrolytes, thinking that hydration is the key to finishing out long runs. And while hydration is obviously very important, we also just need the calories if you're trying to go out for longer than an hour and a half. And really, they just used random gels without any plan. A lot of folks do this around like mile 12, mile 13 or something during a half marathon, or same thing with a full marathon, 15, 16, 17. They'll start taking whatever gels they have from an aid station. They realize they hate it, they spit it out, they try and get it back in again or something, and really there's no plan whatsoever. And all of these are to say is that these are contributing reasons as to why people hate long runs, because they feel terrible, they bonk, and when you bonk, you have that big hypoglycemic feeling, and your head just doesn't feel all that great, and you're disinterested. So let me please explain to you on why this strategy fails. So the science, so to speak, about hitting the wall, the physiology. So number one, we know glycogen, as we had said before, is going to be the storage form of carbohydrates in both our liver and skeletal muscles. However, we can only hold about 2,000 calories of that in our liver and skeletal muscles at any given time. So if you've ever run a half marathon before and you've crushed it without having any fuel, that's fine. You can do that because it might only take you 1,300 to 1,500 calories to run a half marathon. But a full marathon, you can easily double that. The average runner burns around 3,000 calories during a marathon. So if you only have 2,000 calories worth of carbohydrates or glycogen in your liver and skeletal muscles, there's no way you're going to finish that race without cramping up. So we know that blood sugar is going to drop and your brain and your muscles will suffer as well if you're not fueling up past 90 minutes when your glycogen tank goes lower, lower, lower. Further on this, a lot of people think that they're like fat burning machines, or they're able to, like, it's called metabolic flexibility. They're able to burn off carbs and fats. And that is true only when you go low, only when you go slow enough. So people think that, like, oh, I'm going to go out and run 20 miles, but I'm only going to burn fat. Like they have any sort of control over that, like, flipping a switch on and off. You do not have any control over that. If you go super, super, super slow at like zone 1 and you want to like walk or fast walk, you can burn off fats. But if you're going to go anything faster than that, your body has to burn off carbs. So all this is to say, if you've really tapped out all of your glycogen and you're running lower, 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 you don't immediately go to burning fat because fat oxidation doesn't keep up. So the result of all of this, of hitting the wall, is that your underfueling will slow your recovery after your really sub-maximal run, and it's going to give less than advantageous adaptations. However, please let me offer you a smarter strategy to fuel for long runs the right way. So what we're going to do is we are going to eat around 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates after the first hour of running. After you've already burnt off 4, 5, 6, 700 calories, that's when you're going to start adding in the carbohydrates. Get in things like gels, chews, electrolyte mixes, maybe even a banana if you want to carry that in your pocket. Get in 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour with a little bit of hydration from an electrolyte drink, and you're well on your way to continue going forward. Please do not do this for the first time during a race. Do this during your training. You want to train efficiently during your training runs for a few months, maybe even a year leading up to a half marathon, full marathon, ultramarathon. You're training your legs, you're training your mind, but here you're also training your gut, you're training your GI system. So really the key is to start fueling before fatigue hits, because once fatigue does hit, you're basically out of luck and you're already in a hole and you're going to have to try and dig yourself back out of that. Okay, so why this works. Lastly, so we know that if we have more energy, we're going to be able to keep a steadier head, a steadier pace, and just better running form or better running economy later. If I ask all of you right now to go out and jog with a nice great stride, nice and confident, chest up, shoulders slightly back, eyes gaze forward, looking about 10 feet down at the ground, I ask you to do that for 30 seconds. I bet every single one of you can do that. But if I ask you to do it for 3 hours, that's another thing. This is why fueling is so important. If we keep shuttling in the hydration, if we keep shuttling in the calories, you'll be able to stay upright, keep your running economy, and go out for 10, 20, 30, however many miles. This strategy is going to help reduce bonking, which will help boost endurance capacity. If you can go 5 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, those are just more reps in the tank. Think about the 10,000 hour rule. The more you do something efficiently, with good form, with good intention, the better you get at it and the more economical you are. Also, this is going to help support recovery, adaptation, and race day readiness. I love seeing the marathoners on TV who run by at like a 4:30 pace and take their bottle, and they drink the entire bottle because they're just fueling and fueling and fueling. And people on TV are always talking about their 120-mile weeks, 150-mile weeks, 180-mile weeks, and they're only able to perform well on the run, recover from those runs, and then adapt positively because they're constantly fueling throughout. And obviously, this is backed by decades of endurance research and sports nutrition research. So this works for everyone else. This will work for you if you work at it. Awesome. So thank you for tuning in. I really do hope that you take some of these or all of these tips into consideration, because I do want your long runs, your short, easy runs, your tempo runs, your interval runs to go as smoothly as possible so you can make as much running progress as possible. If you did like the video, please like, subscribe, and share this with a friend so they will not miss a beat with all of the sports performance, physiology, strength and conditioning, nutrition stuff that we talk about on this channel. And with that, I'm going to go run. I hope you will too. and I'll catch you all in the next episode.